God. Oh. Now this is a box set. Hey everybody, welcome back to Kavanaugh's Corner. Today on the channel, we're going to be reviewing a new release here from Umbrella Entertainment, and that is the absolutely massive Super Mario Brothers here. This is the 1993 film starring Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo, Dennis Hopper, Samantha Mathis. I mean, this is one of these movies where I feel you either love it or you hate it. For me, this movie has a lot of nostalgic qualities to it. I remember renting this movie from the local video store, Video Junction, which used to exist in North Providence, Rhode Island, not far from where I grew up. And I remember renting this movie and not knowing what to make of it. This movie was so strange and so far away from the Mario Brothers video games that I had played at the time that I didn't even know what to make of it. I probably saw this movie maybe 2 years after it had come out, and I had played a lot of the Mario Brothers games up until that point. But this film here, directed by Rocky Morton and Annabelle Jankel, this is a crazy movie. I mean, this is like a fever dream of a film. And when I heard this was getting remastered and re-released in 4K, at first I was kind of hesitant, but then, I remembered, this movie is kind of wild, and I had not seen it in probably over 20 odd years. So when I saw that this had come out in a collector's edition set, what they were calling the Trust the Fungus set, I kind of had to pick it up. But the original release of this, which had a purple box, sold out extraordinarily quickly. And that box set, that version of the box set, now goes for like almost $1,000, which is, in my mind, completely insane. No one should ever have to pay that much for a single movie, never mind a big box set like this. But this set here is what they're calling the 1-Up Edition, the 30th Anniversary Collector's Edition. And this set here has got a different color palette, some slightly different imagery on the front and the back, and it does have the same 3-disc set with one 4K disc with the film and a few special features, and then a Blu-ray with the film and the same special features, and then a 3rd disc, which is absolutely loaded with a ton of special features. And I ordered this from overseas. This got imported. Umbrella Entertainment is located in Australia, and this is not widely available in the US. The standard 2-disc edition is, but when I saw this kind of set, this really reminded me of the Frighteners box set that came out a while ago from Turbine, and I reviewed that here on the channel as well. And I gotta say, this set and the Frighteners are kinda neck and neck for absolutely crazy box sets that have to do with one film. In terms of this video, I am going to focus this video on just the film and the contents of the 4K disc, because there is so much other stuff to go through. As you can see, there are literally 2 books that come with this set, as well as that massive 3rd disc, that 3rd Blu-ray that is filled with many special features. I feel like, for the sake of your time and depending on your interests, I'm going to do a second video that only has to do with the special features that are on that 3rd disc and the other things that are in this box set. This set came with a bunch of posters, a souvenir magazine, a book that has the original and the redone script, the two different versions of the script, and it also comes with this massive, like almost novel, pretty much, which is a 480-page book that covers literally everything you could possibly imagine about the film. I'm going to save talking about those for the second video. Today we're going to focus just on the 4K disc, the picture quality of the film, the audio quality, and the few special features that come with it. But even that 4K disc has quite a few things, so here we go. So after removing the disc here, this is what the artwork is on the slip cover, and you can see the Trust the Fungus. I absolutely love that they carried that over to this one. But this definitely is an amazing little setup here. This is the reverse flip cover here. I actually like this one because it doesn't have the big Australian PG over here on this version. There's the back. And then if I open it up, you're going to see it comes with multiple posters on the inside. And I'm going to unfold these. Here is the international one. That's like the European one, if you can see it. And then this is the American one. This is the one that we kind of had here in the States. And then it also comes with a second poster inside that has two more posters. Here is the Japanese poster, which is really cool. And this one looks like it's a Thai poster, which is really interesting. This one has, I think, the wildest artwork out of all of them. So pretty cool stuff there that it comes with all that. And then you can see on the inside there's 3 discs. There's the 4K, there's the standard Blu-ray with the film, and this third disc here with the different artwork is the special features. So really, really cool stuff there. I love the way that they packaged everything here. It's really, really nice. So to jump right into the review here, the picture quality on this 4K disc is one that I'm a little mixed on, and I want to talk about it because there are some really good qualities and then there are some like slightly off qualities about it. First and foremost, Super Mario Bros. Here does have a native 4K transfer. So it is a 4K transfer. Sadly, though, the film does not have any sort of HDR. So it is a standard dynamic range transfer. No HDR, no HDR10, no Dolby Vision, no nothing. Now, supposedly this is actually because of some limitations that were, I guess, with the rights, maybe budgetary. I am not 100% sure. I've read stories that say either or. But even without the HDR, this is hands down the best this movie has ever looked. The picture quality is phenomenal in a lot of ways. Detail level on that disc, the detail level is just incredible. One of my favorite things about this film are the sets. The sets on this film were just absolutely massive. I mean, they really went crazy with the sets for this film. And now that the film is in 4K, you can really see details with these gigantic sets and their designs that I have never noticed before. The attention to detail is shockingly amazing. And if you're a fan of this film, you are going to notice things with signs, with stores, with the extras walking around the streets of Dino Hatton that you may have never noticed before. And it's really, really impressive stuff. Detail level also goes to clothing. Dennis Hopper as King Koopa in this is just, he's out of his mind. I mean, you gotta hand it to him. He really gave this movie his all. I mean, he put his heart and soul into this, even though at one point he basically gave up on the movie because the film was having so many script rewrites and changes and issues on set. You can still tell, like, his performance is just wacky, and he chews the scenery in basically every scene that he's in. But his costumes in this film are crazy. And I love like the like alligator print, like kind of scaly jackets and ties that he wears. The hair is nuts. His like almost like cornrow type hair. It's like they took his hair and like gelled it together. It's just it's mental, and that pretty much goes for every single character in this film. Even the Mario Brothers, at certain points, even though their clothing is much more normal than many of the other characters, you can really see little things on their outfits now as the movie goes on that you may not have noticed before. Facial features are very, very good in this. Skin tones are also pretty solid on this. The colors of the film, this is a very vibrant film at times, and I will say that the colors really jump out at you with this new transfer. Even though there's no HDR, I think the colors are very punchy, very vibrant, and I love the look of this film. And the same gentleman who did Blade Runner, the set design of Blade Runner, did this, and it really shows. Some of the CGI effects in this film, very early on CGI, they have not aged well, and others actually look pretty solid. So the 4K definitely shows some wrinkles with that aspect. That's something to kind of keep in mind. It is 1993, so again, summer hit, summer miss. And I think the other thing that really was apparent to me watching this now in 4K is that there is a lot of dialogue re-recording, a lot of dubbing that was done to kind of fill in some holes that were done because of editing. And that ADR, that dialogue ADR, is very, very deathly apparent now. You can truly see there are some lines where none of the actors are moving their lips or mouths or anything, and there's lines that you can hear coming from these characters. So another thing to kind of keep in mind, this movie had many, many issues behind the scenes, and that's kind of part of it. Is you lost some of those things, and a lot of things had to be fixed in post-production, which now is very, very apparent. Black levels on this disc, I would say, are pretty good. There are a lot of nighttime scenes. I mean, pretty much every scene after the point where they go to Dino Hatton, where they go to that other dimension, where the Mario Brothers get there, it's pretty much nighttime all the time there. And I always thought that was kind of funny. There's like literally like one scene in that entire section of the film where it's like daytime and they're out in the desert. But besides that, the movie in the daytime scenes look phenomenal, and the nighttime scenes look pretty solid. There's not much loss of detail, even though, again, there's no HDR. The black levels are pretty solid. Now, in terms of film grain, they really did a good job of preserving the film grain throughout the entire movie. The film grain, as I would say, a low to medium grain. There were a couple scenes where the grain definitely got a little stronger, and one scene in particular where Daisy is speaking to Yoshi, I think. There's one scene where it's in this room in Koopa's tower, and that scene in particular got really grainy for whatever reason. Again, it could be a limitation of the original negative. I'm sure this film was probably not taken very good care of, but everything else having to do with this remaster was really, really good in picture quality, and I was actually pleasantly surprised to see this film look as good as it did. It was very, very impressive, even without the HDR. I would have loved to see this movie with at least HDR 10, but sadly it is what it is. Nothing on this disc for that. Now, in terms of audio quality, this disc does come with a DTS HD 5.1 and a 2.0 stereo mix. They're both DTS HD Master Audio tracks. I watched this with the 5.1, which is the default audio for the 4K disc. And one thing I had to say was that this film has a lot of really zany and wacky sound effects. Probably too many, to be honest. But it sounded really good. I mean, that 5.1 track sounded fantastic. The dialogue is very clear. It's mostly centered, and that goes for a lot of the audio in this film. A lot of it is in the front speakers, so your left, right, and center, and the dialogue is mainly going to come from that center speaker. But it's very clear, it's very audible, and it just sounded fine. There was no issues with that. There were a few moments where surround sound effects were used in crowd scenes, the club scene where they, are trying to get the crystal back from Big Bertha. Very interesting sequence. But that scene there, the music in the club and everything sounded great. And there were some surround sound effects that were used near the end of the film as well, when that big face-off with King Koopa. So there's cool stuff there. I like the way that they handled it. The biggest thing about that sound is Alan Silvestri's score. And yes, Alan Silvestri did the score for this film. A man who has done, I should say, tons of memorable soundtracks for films. I mean, just incredible scores that this guy has done over the years. This one's kind of really outstanding, honestly. It almost is too good for this film, but it works well, and that score sounds incredible on this 4K. The 5.1 does an amazing job of keeping that music well balanced while being able to hear all the zany, wacky sound effects and the dialogue and everything. There's a lot of sound going on in this film, and it sounded awesome. I mean, everything was very well placed. Everything was very, balanced, and I didn't find myself, like, upping and lowering the audio at all. And the bass was actually pretty solid as well. Not as punchy as I would have liked, but for this film, it was fine. There was no issues with that. And it was just a really good 5.1 track, and I'm sure the 2.0 stereo, which is pretty much the original audio track for the film, I'm sure that sounds great too. So the special features on this disc actually contain 4 audio commentaries. That's quite a lot. Now, for the sake of this review, I was not able to watch all of them. But I'll tell you what they are regardless. There is an audio commentary with screenwriter Parker Bennett, an audio commentary with co-producer Fred Caruso and production designer David L. Snyder. If I were to listen to one, that would be one I would really be interested in, because Snyder is a genius when it comes to production design. Audio commentary with makeup artist Jeff Goodwin and special effects crew Mark McCoy and production assistant Craig Edwards. So that's a whole other behind-the-scenes look at the film. And then there is also an audio commentary where archivists Stephen Applebaum and Ryan Haas, who are the guys behind the Super Mario Bros. Movie Archive, which is kind of the reason why we have this set here. So very cool stuff there. And besides that, the disc also comes with a set of deleted and extended scenes. Now, those deleted scenes are really interesting because most of them are from the work print version, which I'm going to talk about more in the second part of this video, that is on that 3rd disc. Those deleted scenes is like 20-something minutes of them on this 4K disc. And it's really interesting because some of them are completely useless, and I can totally understand why they were cut for time. But a few of them actually fill in some plot holes and some continuity errors that exist in the final cut of the film. One in particular that actually has plagued me for many, many years. I even noticed it when I was a kid, and that's when Koopa originally brings Toad and the Mario Brothers to the de-evolution chamber, where they're in that chair, they go up, and their head, turns into Goombas. It's ridiculous, but that sequence, they actually turn a second guy into slime, and it's a really gross effect. It probably would have been too scary for kids, which they were really aiming for this movie, even though this movie really doesn't work for kids. As funny as it is and as wild and zany as it is, this is not a kids movie, even though they really tried hard to make it one. It's not. And I watched this as a kid, and it still is like too much for children, even though it's like a PG rated film. That sequence now explains why there is that green slime on the chair and on the floor after they turn Toad into a Goomba. And I've always wondered that, because there are close-up shots of the shackles when they push Dennis Hopper into the chair, and you can see like green slime on the chair in the final cut. And there's no explanation for that in the film. Well, in that deleted scene contained on this disc, they finally show why. So that's really interesting. And then the other one that really interested me is that there's an extended version of the end scene after King Koopa is defeated. Sorry, spoiler alert for a 30-something-year-old movie. That sequence now is extended by a few minutes, and they actually pay off the pizza joke that happens earlier in the movie with Dennis Hopper ordering a pizza. It's an interesting thing, and you actually get to see Luigi and Princess Daisy kiss a first time, and then again that happens again later on in the film. So that's an interesting thing. So you get a few extra things there. It's interesting to see them mixed in with the 4K transfer of the film, but keep in mind those deleted scenes are a much lower quality. Just because of the source of them, I'm pretty sure they were sourced from a VHS tape, which we'll go more into in the second part. Besides that, there's also 2 different theatrical trailers which have been remastered in 4K as well. And watching these trailers, I actually remember seeing one of them, which I think was the Ain't No Game trailer, what they call it. And I remember seeing that many years ago, maybe on another VHS or something I rented when I was a kid. And that got me kind of hyped up for the movie, ironically enough. That trailer and the other one, which uses that song, I Got the Power, which is one of the most overused songs ever. Those 2 trailers really show that the marketing department at Hollywood Pictures, which was actually owned by Disney, they had no idea how to market this film. And you can tell they were trying to work in the video game thing into this movie, but this movie was so far removed from the video games that they were just like, I don't know, we gotta figure something out here. And they almost marketed it as like the family action film, which is gotta be one of the strangest things I've ever encountered. The Ain't No Game trailer actually uses music that were used in multiple like action movie trailers from the 80s and 90s. They use the same music for like Die Hard 1 and 2, like most of the Lethal Weapon movies use the music that's in that trailer, and I'm like, what is going on here? But it's wild. It's absolutely wild. And then the second one, I Got the Power one, that one there almost gave me a seizure. So if you're photosensitive, you may not want to watch that trailer, because there is a lot of flashing screens and stuff going on in that trailer. That is that's a ride, that one is. But anyway, what did I think of the 4K disc for Super Mario Brothers here, this 30th anniversary collection? I thought it was a pretty solid disc. Besides there being no HDR, I think that was a real letdown there. But I think it was pretty good. For the most part, I felt that the transfer was very, very solid. No crazy issues with image quality. Again, certain things could have been done a little better. I think the color could have been punchier a little bit at times. I think, you know, some of the strange issues with film grain kind of going all over the place on and off during the film, it could have been a little bit better. But for what it is, the movie looked fantastic. The 5.1 sounded great. And, you know, again, just that 4K disc and the special features that come on it with the deleted scenes and everything, it's pretty solid stuff. And the fact that the second disc that has the film on standard Blu-ray contains all the same special features and the film in standard high definition instead of 4K, it's not bad. I mean, it's not bad at all. Oh, it's definitely worth it if you're a fan. That's the biggest thing. This movie, again, it's not the greatest film. I enjoy it for certain qualities that it has, but again, the movie is kind of it's kind of all over the place. It's a mess. So next on the channel here, we're going to be doing a look at the rest of this box set. So that special features Blu-ray, the books, and all the other things that were included in this set. That one there is going to be really interesting, so I hope that you watch it. I'm going to be uploading both parts simultaneously here to the channel. So if you're done watching this, I'll leave a link at the end, and if you enjoyed this video, definitely hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel down below so I can bring you more videos like this. So until next time, stay safe, take it easy, and trust the fungus.